Good morning and welcome back to your favorite morning show, The Odd Couple, the show that you never knew you needed in your life, but now you just can't live without it. I'm Anwar Richardson. That's Alex Dunlap. Good morning to everybody, man. Good morning to you, Alex.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. I guess it's your last day there in your Dallas hotel. You excited to get back home and sleep in your own bed for once this month?
Alex, I have been pretty much living out of hotels and Airbnbs for the past couple of weeks. Next week, I go into another. I've got like 3 more hotel stays, I think, between now and mid-July. So I'll be excited to get back in my own bed, though. I can tell you that much.
I'll say this, and look, we're gonna get to some football stuff. We have an update on Cam Williams that we wanted to talk about when Anwar posted it on Tuesday. But I actually did a Cam Williams article yesterday on Orange Bloods talking about talking about what Anwar's update means and what context we can take from it. So we're going to talk about that. Also have a couple, we didn't get to talk about yesterday about the 2026 wide receiver commitment. I want to talk about that. A few other things that I want to lead with, but just before I get to it, Anwar, has it gotten with Airbnbs and hotels that it was like it used to be the cool thing to do to get the Airbnb? It was a little bit cheaper. It felt like a better way to travel. And now it's like, man, I'm starting to think it's time to go back to hotels. It's like sometimes the Airbnbs, there's so many charges. They tell you it's going to cost $400, and you get to the checkout thing, it costs $800. And half the time, and there's always weird instructions to get in the house. And you gotta, go take your blood test and send in a stool sample. And then once you get that thing back, you can find the little key, and then you got to give it the magic code, and then you can put it back in. You know what I mean? It's
honestly, Alex, you're right. And I'll be honest with you, it used to be something, but I feel like everybody's got their Airbnb now. People rent out their apartments now, and it as like quote unquote Airbnbs and stuff. And it's like it's not cheaper than a hotel. It's really, for me, the only time I do the Airbnb if it's going to be like for a long period of time, and I just don't want to be crammed in a hotel room. But even some hotels, I'm at a Residence Inn, right? I mean, I've got a kitchen behind me, and I can do it. But
you have a different room than your kids, though. There, I think that's the good thing about Airbnbs, though, is you can have a different room than your kids.
Yeah, no, you can't. I'm all about the reviews when it comes to Airbnbs. And I don't mean you can't get my business if you only got 2 reviews. Like, I'm sorry, because that's you and your cousin who wrote a damn review. I need to see that you're a super host. I need to see good ass reviews from you. If you got good reviews, good. If you got like 3 or 4, I ain't going.
Did you see this about the new college football 25 EA Sports? The Horns Down will not be in the new college football video game because EA Sports is including positive hand signals only. I saw this on Barstool Sports yesterday, and the only reason that I saw it was because Mike Farrell, formerly of Rivals, who, man, I'm glad that I don't have to defend this dope anymore. You know what I mean? It's like when he works for Rivals, you feel like he's kind of on the home team. He wrote back. He said, "Texas Longhorns are the most sensitive group of people alive. This was clearly discussed at a high level by Texas administration." One, what is wrong with Farrell? Why is he going on such a tangent to where it's like we're getting these posts on our board all the time about this article he wrote about Texas, this he wrote about Texas, all that. And what I want to tell people is dude, why do you care? Why do you care about this guy? This is a dude that got let go of Rivals because he was the highest paid recruiting director, right? All this stuff. And this dude started saying that he didn't want to go to camps because it was going to hurt his knees and all this stuff like that. I mean, this dude is I've met Farrell, man. It's like it's hard to have a whole ton of respect for the hustle or the work that this dude puts in. And now he says all this stuff. I wonder.
Damn. Alex is firing on shots.
Well, I mean, do you like Farrell?
I'm indifferent towards him. I feel like his formula is if I'm negative against Texas, I'll get clicks. And everything is about it's like, the like the Rush Limbaugh thing from years ago, right? People listen to Rush because they liked him, but a lot of people listen to him because they didn't like him. Either way, if you're clicking, he wins. And so I think that for him, he understands, like, if I say negative stuff about Texas, guess what happens? It's going to get posted on Orange Buds. People are going to click the articles. As long as people are clicking, he's winning. So I think he understands negativity is what's going to help him and his website and his brand.
Maybe he should have put that same energy into his crappy weekly columns whenever he was at Rivals that never got read. Anyway, but so what do you think about this stuff about the Horns? Like, do you think that really is some secret plot by the Texas?
No, because Alex, this is the thing about Horns Down that people don't get, and I try to tell people this all the time. Texas fans don't care. Like, the only people who care about it are non-Texas fans. Texas fans, I feel like Texas fans, Alex, view it as a badge of honor to know that you're at your wedding and you're living rent-free in your mind where you have to do Horns Down. You're on a recruiting visit to Oklahoma or A&M and you have to do Horns Down. Like, Texas fans really feel like you think about us and you're so consumed with us that you have to do this all the time. So it doesn't bother Texas fans the way that people really think it does. Like, there's no Chris Del Conte, Jay Hartzell didn't get on with EA Sports to say, you know what, you can't have that in the game. Like, I think these guys have bigger fish to fry. I think L-Type made a call to EA Sports. Like, it's a conspiracy theory that's about as ludicrous and loony in its thought process.
I'm reading the so it says, now we carry on. So what they're saying is that it was Chris Vanini who, I guess, who does he? I thought he covers the Group of Five for the Athletic. Maybe, yeah. It looks like he just covers college football now. So, but what he was saying was, he's been told that Horns Down will not be in the video. Only hand signals for your own team. It looks like a few. So here's what appears to be included but not limited to for celebrations in this game. Is there any of these that you've heard of? Let me. Do you know what Wisconsin's is?
No.
I guess it's a W. Like that.
Okay.
You know Miami for sure, right?
Yeah, do you? Of course, I know that.
You know what Nebraska Bones is?
No.
The East Carolina finger hook? What is the SMU pony ears?
Dude, I don't know. You're from the state. You should tell me.
No. It says for Rice, it's the owl wings, but I always thought Rice, it was just Peckham. So I didn't know about that one. It looks like the Aggies will get a gig 'em. Oregon gets in their O. Washington gets a dubs up. Texas State, eat 'em up cats, whatever that is. I wonder what the eat 'em up cats is. Sam Houston State claw. Anyway, interesting, but no.
Hey, I got something I want to show you as relates to that, Alex. It's funny you say that. Let me see if I can get this on the screen within a reasonable amount of time. And I want to get your thought on this as far as EA Sports is concerned, because they just came out with this. Okay, here we go. Then post this. So same thing. They came up with a list of the toughest places to play according to EA Sports. And they've got A&M ranked at number 1 on their list, followed by Bama, LSU, Ohio State. They've got OU, Oklahoma at 8. And they've got Texas down at 19.
I don't know, man. It's I don't know. I've not been to a lot of these stadiums. I've never seen a game at the OU. Can you believe that? I mean, there's so many Texas OU games, but they're always at the Cotton Bowl. What's their Gaylord Stadium, whatever that thing is, Family Gaylord Stadium? I've never even been there. I certainly have, dude. I mean, I always tell you about A&M, Anwar. Since you came on board here, clearly, after Texas and that. They've been kind of separated by the SEC and the A&M breakup. Is that going to A&M's weird, man? It feels like you're traveling into a fever dream. It really is weird, man. These are weird people.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not just saying that as somebody that went to Texas. And like, that isn't a joke, man. They're legit strange, right? And so I think that it's such a weird shock to go to this game and look and see these throngs of people, doing these very, very, very cringy and awkward dances, and dudes grabbing each other by their midsections and swirling around, and
Sashaying.
yeah, right. And then, like, only the male cheerleaders that look like milkmen. You have a whole just swaths of these people that dress up like they're in the army, but they're not in the army. They do lots of weird chants. It's like, I think it's just this, and everybody else there is just kind of fired up, right? It's an odd place to play, so I can get that. I'm not, it's like you're in a stadium that has over 100,000 capacity. It's filled up with, it's like a freak show. So I can get that. Bama, I can certainly get that. That's a stadium
that was a crazy place. I went to. That place was crazy. That place was loud.
Yeah, LSU can certainly get that. The shoe at Ohio State, especially at night, can certainly get that. We know UGA. I mean, I can't argue with any of these stuff. Penn State, you get the occasional whiteouts. Wisconsin, you get the jump around stuff. So I can understand all that, right? Yeah. It's when we get down to OU, I don't. Wouldn't you think that UF would be higher up? Maybe they're just kind of down a little bit because they've been bad lately. But I'm sure when you were growing up in Florida, like, people always talked about how hard it was to play. That's the Swamp, right?
Yeah, at Florida is the Swamp. Swamp's a big, but FSU's got that war chant all throughout the game too. And so
right, I forget that. Why is OU listed like this? Does it seem to you like OU should not be? OU and Texas should be right there next to each other. What do they have? The Sooner Schooner? Texas has like Bevo and stuff, and cannons that fire off and things like this.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. I mean, it's interesting that Michigan's at 16. I mean, they have 100,000 people that go into their stadium.
The big house. Yeah, that should be up higher.
Yeah. Right.
I've been to Auburn. Now, Tennessee, I have not been to, but I've been told whenever I've done my, during our pro day tours and stuff at Roster Watch, when we talk to scouts and we're at these different, SEC schools, and we're talking to these scouts about the games they go to and stuff. All these scouts always talk about, man, you've got to go to a game at Rocky Top. That's an intense setup for those SEC home games. So I could see them being up there. Matt in the chat saying, didn't Bama players say DKR was the loudest stadium they played at? I don't know, man. You can't. It's just what EA Sports thinks, right? But I guess that's probably an input into the game as far as the home field advantage that gets equated for their simulations of these games and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting thing, and maybe some of this, SEC Matt is correct, but I don't know if they're just going historically as opposed to like recent thing. Like, that was a recent thing, but historically Texas has not been known for that. They've gotten better over the years, obviously, under Chris Del Conte, and making this into a crazier place. But yeah, no, it was an interesting list. So when you mentioned EA Sports, I'm like, oh snap, I just saw this recently as well. And so yeah, I'm not into video games, but they seem to resonate with a lot.
They seem to move the needle, don't they?
Yeah, they resonate with a lot of people. So I
think that the Cam Williams update that you have that we're going to talk about is going to really resonate with some people. But since we're on a little bit of a shortened show today, I do think that what is always going to resonate with everybody is just what you put in your body as far as the food. Just delicious beef from Texas Beef Traders. Have you been to Texas Beef Traders yet? Lynn, listen, I don't want to hear from you that, oh, Alex is too far away. I don't live in Lakeway. Well, look, it's right there on 620. It's close to Steiner Ranch. It's close to 4 Points. It's close to Westlake. It's close to Bee Cave. Look, go to Texas Beef Traders. And if you can't get into the store, just call up there, get your 10% off. Darren, Shay, one of them will just bring it to you. They're not going to charge any cash to bring it to you. They're going to give you the best cuts of meat that you can get anywhere in Austin, right? MTX cattle, straight from Mason, Texas. Just delicious. Scan that QR code. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. Not only are you going to get a vaccine-free, antibiotic-free, hormone, steroid-free cut of beef for you and your family. It is delicious, and it's cheaper than the grocery store. It's good for you. And get this, coming soon, I just ate some last night. They gave me a few samples from the rancher. This thing called Piedmontese beef. Wait till you taste this. These cows they look like Superman, like Mighty Mouse. There's no fat on them. And you get the work done on these cows. They're called Piedmontese. You can look into them. They're from Italy. I had a ribeye steak from one of these cows last night. I had some meatballs from the ground beef last week. Dude, this is healthier for you than eating low-fat chicken or low-fat turkey. And it has all the delicious protein and all the delicious taste of beef. And look, this is the kind of stuff that they're doing at Texas Beef Traders. TexasBeefTraders.com, TexasBeefTraders.com. Make sure and go give them a look. Onward.
I had to bring myself back in. All right. Where is the I thought I had put the Eric Sells Homes up there.
Your QR code here. I'll just stick it up for you there, brother.
There we go. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Get out of the way.
Slow motion on it. Listen, guys, I'm in Dallas, as you guys know, at this FC Dallas soccer camp. Last day for me. I'll be back in Dallas next week, though. And then I'll be back in Arlington the week after that. I might as well buy a house out here. And if I do that, then it's going to be my main man, Eric Torres. Eric Sells Homes, DFW. Don't get taken advantage of, y'all. Don't get taken advantage of by these realtors who don't know what they're doing, trying to swindle you, all these kind of things, aren't hooking you up with the right mortgage lenders, all that kind of stuff. Too big of a purchase to mess it up. Whether you're looking to buy a home, looking to sell a home, whatever it is, Eric Torres has got you covered. He will absolutely take care of you. You let him know your favorite unk sent you. Eric Sells Homes, DFW. If you're using anybody else, don't do it. Go to the main man, El Presidente himself. He'll be back. Eric Sells Homes, DFW. And there it is.
All right. So Cam Williams.
And yeah, so let's set it up like this. For this Cam Williams update here. Cam Williams, you guys know, great offensive lineman here. Well, soon to be great offensive lineman in the University of Texas. But last year, Cam Williams began the season, Alex, weighing at 369 pounds. And by the way, he got himself down to that weight of 369 at the start of the season. I was told that he was in the 70s at some point last year.
I mean, would that surprise you?
Of course not.
The guy's a mountain of a man for sure.
Of course not. Big man. But at some point, you have to have a weight that's functional. It's cool to be big, but we got to go ahead and mold that, right? And so he ends up starting to lose a little bit of weight. And so the first day of spring practice back in March, Alex, Cam Williams was sitting at 360. So he lost 9 pounds, okay? But not anything significant, but, he was starting to transition of starting to lose weight. And now we're in the summer workouts. I kind of checked in with some people, checked in with some sources, this week. And they told me that Cam Williams is now sitting at, are you ready for this, Alex? And I know you already know. So I'm kind of building it up for everybody else. Sitting at 345 pounds, Alex.
It's good. It's big.
I mean, we're talking about a guy who was sitting at 370 at some point last year, who's now sitting at 345. And I had one person said like he could be a little bit less than that. And they're okay if he loses a little bit more. But what's been communicated to me as far as the light bulb going off or green lights or whatever you want to use to call it, that as relates to Cam Williams, he understands what's at stake. He understands what's important. He wants to. It's like the message has gotten through. The message from Kyle Flood, Torrey Becton, Steve Sarkisian, everybody saying like, we need you, and this is where we need you to be. And then him also understanding, Alex, that hey, may have an opportunity to go pro after this year as well. all those things. And sometimes, Alex, if you're motivated to just that, hey, I want to go pro, that makes you into a better college player, right? Because you're getting better in all ways. And so last thing I'll say, and I'll let you jump in on this, Alex, is that it seems like from a dedication standpoint, from a body standpoint, physical standpoint, we know what he can do, and you have all the numbers to show. But he is cutting weight and shedding weight to be as effective at that right tackle position as possible. And there are high hopes for him going into the season.
Yeah, I certainly have a lot to say about it, and I'm sad that we have to cut it a little bit short today because Cam Williams is one of my favorite things to talk about. But we do have some super chats that we should probably get to, and of course the Specs chat line is brought to you by Specs, our great friends at Specs. I'm at Specs too often. I was just I was just there yesterday. So and by the way, I did not find that. I tried.
You did not find it there? No, I showed it to you on the Specs Online.
Yeah. I looked. I think maybe it's not in the tequila section. I thought about that when I left. Maybe it's in like the liqueur or something. But anyway, look, I'm gonna go back to dude. Everything is usually very easy to find at Specs, right? So let's hear from our friends right over there at Specs.
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
All right. Thanks, everybody here in the Specs chat line. 500 of you. Please remember to like the show, subscribe to the channel. Your boys, Alex and Anwar, here with you every weekday morning, 9 a.m. So,
and Jeff Ketchum is in the chat, by the way.
Jeff Ketchum's in the chat.
Yeah, boss.
What is he do? What is I thought Ketchum had like I'm having to fill in on Chad's show today. So that's an update. I'll be on House Divided today at noon Central, filling in for Ketch, who apparently hasn't gotten out to the camp just yet, but he'll be at the camps a little bit later today.
No, Ketch is on his way back to Austin today.
Oh, so he's traveling. Okay, so Cody's still there today. Or Cody's
Ketch is there for the publisher's portion. Ketch is there for the business portion.
Got it. Okay,
that's it. That's what he's got Jason and Cody there for.
Okay, so the updates continue from Jason and from Cody over at orangebloods.com. Make sure and check it out over there. Onward, you're planning on having some cool stuff for the War Room tonight. You're saying, and we have Jason with some updates there from Jacksonville at the Rivals 5-star. So make sure and
I got some badass notes for the War Room tonight. If you're not on Orange Bloods, I'm telling you, those notes are going to be so good tonight. Like, I'm not even going to talk about them tomorrow on the show. I'm not even going to make it that easy for you. Like, that's how good some of these notes are.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I'm not gonna give you any no.
If there's something there I see that I'm just dying for, man. With like
maybe one. I'll give you one blue magic pill. I might give you one taste of the blue magic. Okay. And outside of that, no, you got to pay premium. That's it.
Okay, all right.
That's my blue magic. That's my name.
Well, if you're on Orange Bloods, you would have read yesterday that I had, just my kind of, it felt like Cam Williams was sort of in the ethos from the report that Anwar made, and I was reading the replies from people, and they were saying stuff like, I'm like pro after this year. Like, what is it? Like, what is he talking about? He hadn't even started all this stuff. And I kind of wanted to reset the expectation with him and sort of go over exactly what happened with Cam Williams. How we got here, right? How we got here. And we know that, okay, he's down to 345 pounds. He was in the 370s or something like, I mean, this is legit 30 pounds. This is something like a 10% body reduction, I mean, think about it in your own life. Like, take me, I'm 6 feet, 200 pounds. Like this is me losing 20 pounds. Like that's a big, like I would look a lot different. That's a transformation, right? 10% of your body weight. So you have to understand that was something that even when you weigh as much as he does, to lose that much weight, I mean, it takes a concerted effort. And I do think that with Donald Hawkins and everybody else saying, your sources, but Hawkins said it right here on the show. He said, Cam wants to go pro. after next season. Like that's his plan. That's what he wants. It's all the rest. And whenever you say that about him, whenever he was recruited, he's a guy that I looked at as a 3-year player. But now have things gone the route that a 3-year player typically goes? No. But you got to remember, Anwar. So Cam Williams comes in here, and if you just want just the kind of the thumbnail sketch of what he was, he's a guy that everybody just says, oh my God, he's the biggest guy I've ever seen with the longest arms I've ever seen. He's so tall. He's so massive. But generally, I don't like guys like that because they're that big, but they can't play. That's kind of like, Anwar, you've had that bias against people before. You've said like, no, man, like I don't want a 400-pound guy.
Yeah.
I
was like, nah, I'm good on that.
Yeah, like Nick Brooks or something was his name, right? I forget who it was exactly. Who we watched their film that one day, but you're like, nah, almost 400 pounds, like not interested, right? I think a lot of people had that view of Cam Williams, and I came back after these first camps. The first camp I saw him at, where I saw this dude like dunking basketballs and stuff before the camp even started. And then I saw him at Donald Hawkins, King of the Trenches and all this. And I just came back. I'm like, dude, they need to offer this guy. He moved like he's not a novelty. He moves very, very, very well. He's got great feet. He's very athletic. Does he have baby fat on him? Yeah, yes. But he's strong as an ox. He's got these long arms. You cannot convert outside speed to power inside across his chest plate. It's physically impossible whenever he's got these jungle vine kind of arms that are just so long, right? He's a really hard guy to deal with. I forgot about the super chats. Do we need to get to those?
Well, we should get to those because
so let me just finish this and then we'll get back to where we are about as where Cam is now. Whenever he's coming into this season, you can remember last season, coming into prior to last season, Anwar, you had reporting, or maybe it was Catch, I forgot who it was, but it was whenever Christian Jones was coming back. Mm-hmm. There was some reporting that said like, "Hey, we're glad he's coming back and stuff," but it wasn't like one of these weird like it was with T'Vondre Sweat, right? Where they made a giant push to make sure he came back. They actually felt okay about what Cam Williams would have been as a starting right tackle last year. It wasn't like they were so scared of that they begged Christian Jones to come back. Christian Jones coming back was a nice surprise for them, and they were certainly happy with it. And it was a fortuitous decision by Christian Jones. He gets drafted in the 4th round by the Arizona Cardinals, right? But they would have been happy with Cam Williams last year. So all Cam Williams has ever done whenever he's had a chance to play at Texas across multiple positions, when he's been thrown into positions that he had no business playing even, he's been excellent. And we'll talk more about that after we get to these super chats. Let's see. We have the one that I saw. There were a couple that came in. Oh, Tom G. Gosh, Tom G is rich. There was one before him, though.
Yeah, there was one about the
Jamari Lee, $9.99. Thank you very much, Jamari Lee. If you guys want to get into the Specs chat line here, almost 600 of you in the Specs chat line. Please like the show, subscribe to the channel, and you can get us with a super chat. $9.99. Thank you for that $9.99, Jamari Lee. Remember after the Alabama game at DKR, Will Anderson said it was the loudest stadium he has been in. Now we're in the SEC. Texas will become one of the toughest places to play in the country.
I mean, Will Alexander did say that. Toughest place to play in the country. I mean, that's obviously that's a
Texas. Texas doesn't have that culture just yet.
No, I don't think so. Not yet. I don't think there's some traditions, but there's no like intimidating quote unquote traditions. Like the can is not an intimidating tradition. You can manufacture some noise, you can make it loud, and you can, but I don't think anyone's going to say, "Oh, the drone show is making Texas." It's just not, dude. I went to school there. I've been to games. I cover the team. It's not a start to finish buzzsaw of stuff. Texas fans are a little. I mean, look, it's who Texas fans are. It's who kind of a lot of us are that follow this pro. It's almost like it's why Aggies think Texas fans are so arrogant. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they kind of come together. Like they show up a little bit late. Do you remember Mac Brown? What was it? Be early. wear orange, stay late, all this. Like he was trying to get people. He's like, man, can we at least get your butts in the stadium for kickoff, for God's sake?
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't help that in the south end zone, like they're in the in the AC having drinks for half of the game, so it looks empty when you see the south end zone. So it'll be little things like that that will make it harder for me to say like this will be the most intimidating place to play.
Yeah, and I'm just saying it's also what Texas has is it has I think those cannons startled me. Like I know it's coming. I've known it's coming for 25 years now since I started at Texas. Every time they score, you're gonna get that cannon. That cannon popping off. And if you're sitting anywhere down close to that end zone, you look around like somebody just had a negligent discharge on their weapon. So I think that's tough.
But that's not that's not like that's still not like a whiteout kind of atmosphere. That's like that's a moment.
But I have seen it in certain games, and I forget which game it was last year, or maybe the year before. There was one game where it got intensely loud at Texas, where it was like it came down to it, and they ended up, it was a close game at the end. It was an intense crowd. And I think that there were spots where the Texas faithful, whenever they need to really drill in and really get behind the team and stuff, they can come down with massive, massive force, right? Be a really disruptive force. It's not something that's like, it's not a game-long buzzsaw. It's not like it's not like there's stuff that's planned out like it is with the Aggies. It's like all game they're doing some kind of thing where they're like this and this and they're like it's all cringy and stupid, but at least it's energy from the fan base, right?
Yeah. I don't think, and and I know we're going to get to Tom G stuff in a second, but at the end of the day, like that was said one time. It's not been said consistently throughout the years as relates to DKR. And I would say that Kansas State, didn't have any problems operating in DKR last year. And other teams have not throughout the past as well. So I would say it's getting there as far as, a good, louder environment. But you still have the coach making pleas to people to come out and be early and to be loud. And so you still have Sark trying to pump up the guys, everybody, the fan base to be active. So when it's not there yet. Now, the having SEC teams come in, maybe that it brings a level of excitement.
I mean, how can you? I mean, it's almost like fair that Texas fans kind of just show up because it's some team from Davenport, Iowa, or whatever coming into play. You know what I mean? I don't even know where Iowa State is. Where is that? Oh, Ames, right? This is like it's like come on. It's a little bit different when when you get these boys from Gainesville, Florida coming in. Like I think it's a little bit different whenever those dudes are in town.
Yeah, it might be different.
Let's see. And even if Florida's no good, it's still just different. It's like you look at the decals on the helmets, and
Florida's supposed to be good this year. They're supposed to be low key good this year. We'll see.
Tom G. Super chat. Thank you very much, Tom G. Always appreciate you, brother. What's up, brothers? This team seems to be focused this offseason. I can't wait for the season to start. Well, you can't. Yeah, I mean, Anwar, are you? My wife and I were talking about this last night, the night before. Are you excited for the season to start? Or you like? For me, it's like this time of year. I like it because it's it's certainly less work. I don't do the deep. I mean, just doing the deep dig and then doing the roster watch tools and stuff all week, and then having my whole weekend taken up by SiriusXM radio and the TV stuff I have to do for Roto Grinders. It's just a whole lot. And then I do this show every day. It's just like a lot of work, but at least it's a routine, and I don't ever have to think about what I'm going to write about or what I'm going to talk about or what. Like, it's just like it's presented to me. It's there. I do the work, and I'm on autopilot. It's a lot harder, but I just do you think that do you like the off season better, or do you like the structure and the grind of in season better?
I like the structure and grind of the in season better than the off season. All season, the in season is kind of automatic pilot. Monday's this,
Yeah,
Tuesday's this, Wednesday's this, Thursday's SARC.
it's
Game on Saturday.
it's just every week. It's
It's an easier thing. This is more chaotic. When you get into the off season, when you've got we don't have to do a lot of recruiting, but we have to keep up with it a little bit. Transfer portal has become the wild west of stuff, and it's like free agency. So once you get into the season, it kind of slows down. But I will say I'm probably more excited about the upcoming season than I've been about any season since I've covered this team.
And you could do, and dude, you could be excited without being like, you can be excited about this without being, I mean, you obviously don't position yourself as a fan of the program, right? But you're somebody who's here to observe the program and pass along the information to the people who are fans. And it's like, even in that kind of spot, you're like, I'm clearly interested in the team. I cover it all the time. I just want to see what the hell happens here.
I want to watch.
You know what I mean?
Like anybody want to see a good game. You want to see a game of interest. I can't tell you. There's been time. Ketch and I we've been doing post game shows for 10 years, and we know which games that a Texas fan is just checked out of, and we know if you have, like, for instance, a loss after Oklahoma in Red River, done. The board's dead. No one's watching the shows. Like, no one gives. It's just a wrap. It's dead for a couple of weeks, and it takes weeks to get that momentum back.
Mm-hmm.
But this will be different because there's so many good games in week in and week out that there's always going to be interest every single week, and that's what I think is going to make it more interesting, more fun.
Few more super chats here. Thanks to all you guys again in the Specs chat line. Getting close up to 700 of you guys. If you could please remember to like the show, subscribe to the channel. We'd certainly appreciate that. We wouldn't ask for it so much if it didn't really go a long way. So if you guys could, if you guys could please like the show, subscribe to the channel, it really does go a long way. For you guys that aren't sending super chats, it's like a free way to super chat us and just show that you like what we're doing. $4.99. Thank you so much, Football Junkie. Athlon has viewers, third team preseason all SEC. Several other Longhorns made the list also. Yeah, so I think, was that the one we talked about yesterday?
We talked about it yesterday.
Yeah, so viewers, and then Anwar and I mean, we were pretty sanguine on the idea of, is sanguine the right word? We kind of think it's okay.
At worst we can say unified.
Yes, yeah, we were just kind of like, we kind of think it's okay.
Because it was Carson Beck number one, Jalen Monroe
and Monroe, and I'm not gonna get up. I'm not gonna stand up on the table and say, if you said that, you are so wrong. I mean, I don't think that's the right way to handle that. So, I did. After Anwar and I talked through, and half the time it's just me and Anwar up here, and like I'll disagree with him at first, and by the end I'll be like, oh, I think we're kind of agree. Like the Jahdae Barron first team all SEC I thought was weird, but we talked through it, and that basically meant first team nickel.
Yeah.
And look, I'll be completely honest, I don't know who every nickel is as far as the SEC. Yeah. I do know that Senior Bowl director Jim Nagy last year talked about how Jahdae Barron last season was a top 5 nickel in the country. So you got to figure that some of those guys are probably seniors that moved on. It's very likely that he's at least one of the top guys in the SEC. So, yeah, interesting list for sure. Anthony Hill not being first team was another thing that we kind of discussed. And I guess we can understand, given that the 3 of the guys that were ahead of him. I don't know enough about the Georgia guy who's ahead of him there. So that's kind of the
only one I mentioned that I thought was just like interesting was Sorrell not being on, and not even being on 4th team. I thought was kind of an interesting thing for me. I 4th team, like, I mean, damn, okay.
Some of those 4-teamers were, yeah. So it's like you got
at 4th, can't get on the list at all. I mean, I'm sure Papa Sorrell will be in the chat at some point and tell us 88 is great.
Yeah. One more super chat here. Yeah. We need to take that Will Anderson, and thank you. Hooked on the Horns, $5 US dollars. We need to say that Will Anderson quote with a grain of salt, because he'd yet to play in a non-COVID restricted Tiger Stadium. Oh, that's a good point. So he was saying that he hadn't played in any of the best SEC stadiums that in the year prior, because they had those home games that year. And
wasn't that like 2020 or wasn't it 2020 or 2021 COVID year?
Yeah, but Will Anderson was the 2023 draft. Or
Okay.
what was he?
No, he was just this past year, wasn't he?
Yeah, so it's 2023 draft.
Okay.
Right? Because we said 2024. So he was 2020. Yeah, that was CJ Stroud and all the and Will Anderson that they took. So that would have been the 2022 season. Right? And so 2020 was the COVID year. So maybe you're saying, okay, so in the COVID year, he didn't play them, and they played him at home in 2021.
Okay. Yeah.
And that game at Texas was only the second game of that season, so he'd yet to go to either of those stadiums.
Fair. But it's also one of the few times that Alabama, lost a game, in regular season too. So I'm sure there's a lot to do with that. So yeah, I think hooked on the horns. Like you have a good point as far as that is concerned. Again, we're not saying DKR isn't a good place or a tough place to play. If someone just talked about it being in the nation, the comment was the number one in the nation. That was the only pushback. Like, I don't know about the nation. Tough, sure.
Cam Williams has played 111 snaps on offense in 2023, and in doing so, he was basic. He was, as far as my grading score, only played enough to get grades in 2 games. That was versus Texas Tech when he got extended run, when he filled in for Christian Jones versus Kansas State. But if you take his average deep dig score in those games, which was a 78.24, for people that don't read the deep dig or don't know what that is, that's a very good score. It's certainly a good average. It was actually the 3rd best average of anybody on the team. So he was at 78.24. Christian Jones was at 78.26. And then you have Kelvin Banks that's up above 79, which was actually kind of a lower season average for Kelvin Banks. It was lower than it was for him as a freshman, but that mainly had to do with a terrible game versus Rice and a terrible game versus Wyoming. Regardless, he was one of the best players on that team last year. And whenever you look at his snaps per disruption caused, 111 snaps on offense in 2023, he only allowed 1 run stuff. If you remember that Kansas State game when he had 3 false start penalties, that was the thing. I mean, false starts, it's like that's his first game starting, dude. You can chalk those up to jitters for sure. So, look, he wants to go to the NFL. He does not want every single question to be a Tavondre Sweat question if he does manage to have a big season. He just doesn't want this to be always your weight. Well, if he stays at 345, that's now off the menu. Like, you can't ask him about it. He showed you that he's dedicated. He showed you he can take it off. He shows you that it'll stay off, right? I would just tell people, it's if you've been dreaming about this DJ Campbell, Cam Williams duo, right? If you've been dreaming about this thing and this, them holding down the right side of the offensive line and just moving bodies and road grading, you could get it this year, but it could also come with the fact that those 2 guys could be gone. That's what, I'm putting it out there. By the end of the season, that could look crazy. It could be that Cam hasn't developed in all the ways that I've been seeing him develop in these little small stints that we've gotten to see him in, right? But it feels like, man, I'm out there enough. I get to see these dudes enough. Cam Williams losing between 25 and 30 pounds to me was just like a nuclear strike. It's like that goes. He's been up to something.
Let me just ask you this before we head out of here. Jay Lee kind of didn't seem that impressed with it. Okay. Alex.
I'm telling that's my job. Jay Lee. I'm here to tell you, you should be impressed. All right. Well, I got to get out of here. So onward. Right. Do you got anything to say before we bounce?
Hey man, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll have a lot more to discuss. We got a lot more things tomorrow. You got to make sure you tune in tomorrow. I'm sorry, I got a lot of good stuff for the War Room. Alex is convincing me to at least drop a couple of nuggets.
Get something to the YouTube peeps, man. Yeah, just like a little sneak preview.
We'll do a lot of stuff. We still haven't talked about that 2026 commit, which I don't know how to. When kids commit that far in advance, I'm almost like, oh Lord. I almost want to talk about you next year, but we still need to talk about that as well. And yes, Mike Torres did mention something. I guess June 27th is some sort of Houston holiday. So go ahead and bang your DJ Screw today for all you folks out in the Houston area.
Go ahead and bang your trash cans.
Oh,
I'm just playing. I'm just playing, Astros fans. Okay.
live each day like it's your last. One day it will be, Alex.
All right. Now you can email me, alex@rosterwatch.com. Follow Anwar at Anwar Richardson. Follow me at Alex Dunlap NFL. Thanks so much to Specs for giving us the Specs chat line. Thanks to Eric Sells Homes DFW. Thanks to Texas Beef Traders, and thanks to everybody for being here with us today. Make sure to go check out Orange Bloods. I was calling them up right now, detailing a whole lot more of this Cam Williams stuff. Anwar's gonna have some stuff in the war room. I will be back at noon for House Divided with Chad. I think I get the opportunity to talk a little bit more baseball, which everybody clearly loved yesterday. Anwar, dude, go out today. Go do something big today for Anwar.